In this video, we're going to be breaking down Simon's channel and we're going to show you exactly what I would do if I had 30 days to transform this channel. So when we first come into the channel, we're going to take a look at the branding. The profile picture. Simon, you're a good looking guy. You need a way better picture. We don't want to have an N and a B right behind you in that bookshelf. I know that you took the same banner and I just feel that's a little bit lazy. We could do better. We have to get you a really good picture. Now, when you look at the banner, your name should not be competing with the green of those Nikes in the back. I think you could do a lot better with having a different picture there that is cleaner and that allows me to see your name easier. You also have your name already here where it says Simon Bird, so I don't think you need to repeat it over there. But overall, I think you have a good look. It's a good picture. We could just improve it a little bit. The way that you have this organized, this for you, I would kind of change that and I will bring your popular videos up to the top so they get a bigger thumbnail. You already know that these videos that are popular, they blew up. So they are going to be videos that perform a lot better with new people that come to your channel. And it also has that element of social proof where I can see, okay, he had a video with 265,000 views. So this guy knows what he's doing. Overall, the way that you have the channel organized, it's not gonna completely change the views and what you're getting, but it shows a higher level of execution, especially when you have a podcast and you're trying to bring guests to the show. If they see that your channel is clean and well executed on the branding side, they just get an immediate feeling that you know what you're doing and that you are top level. Now, when we look at some of the content and some of the thumbnails, I think you're playing a little bit too much on the trendy. For example, with this thumbnail over here, you have that thing on fire. I lost 10 million. Here's what I learned. You're catering to a super young audience, which is not exactly the audience that I think you need to cater when you're talking about losing $10 million. You need to be testing that title thumbnail combination for that type of video with something a little bit more professional. So whoever sees that and is someone in business, someone a little bit older, like I'm 35, you're looking for someone around my age who has been in business for a few years, who would learn from that more than just getting a super cool thumbnail that is intended for like a 21-year-old kid, but they're not really interested in learning about losing $10 million because that's so far-fetched for them. When you look over here, this style thumbnail is way better. I think you could do a lot more in that range and it's gonna perform better for the channel overall. And sometimes these things you don't even realize when you're looking at one video, but when you put the whole channel as a whole together and people see that, it might give them a different feeling. Now, let's take a look at the content strategy. To do that, when I'm analyzing a channel, I always like to go to videos, go to popular, and then see what's performing well on the channel. Here, Simon has over 140 videos. Yeah, there's some shorts that are longer than a minute, and that's messing up your video library. You need to delete those right away. This makes you look really bad, and focus only on the videos that are long form. So when we look at your long form, here, I like to analyze your top 4 videos. Right now, you have one video that did really well, and it's a tour of an expensive house. Let's click and take a look.
Welcome to altitude. Hey. Desperate times calls for desperate measures, but we ain't getting desperate, we just getting better.
So amazing, that video did really well. The problem that I see with that video is your most viewed video, but it's a tour of a penthouse. You're in it, it's great, but it's not building you up or talking about the type of content that you want to do. I think I would still making these videos because they work as top of the funnel, but you need to find a way here in the first minute to give me a little bit more content so it relates to who you are and why should I be following this channel. Right now, I feel like you almost wasted 260,000 people saw this, but they're not getting the best out of you with all of your business content. So is it useful? Yes, because you get people seeing your face, but is it effective? I don't think so. Now we're going to the next two videos. I think similar to what we talked about with thumbnail and title before, you are a very respected business person. I think this is just not representing you properly. Now, when we go and click on this video,
could be making $500,000 a year. This interview, I break down with a 21-year-old barber making over $500,000 a year through creating viral, organic TikTok content, building a huge social media following, and creating hype around charging $250 for each haircut.
Today's cut is $175. Next week, I'm going to $250.
I break down 4 steps on what he should do right now.
So this is amazing, great editing, great energy. You have a good hook. The only thing I would do different here is, Simon, we need to get you a really good camera, and we cannot have that lamp right behind your face. That's just not a good look. I think the hardest part of creating content is actually sitting down, knowing what you're gonna talk about, and putting in the time to do it. So you have to guarantee that you're capturing with a good camera, a good microphone, good sound, and just look at the composition. So we need to change that, because even though you don't realize it, it turns people off, and it doesn't represent who you really are and what you could be doing with your channel. Outside of that, I think the hook is a minute. I think we need to cut it down to like 20 seconds and get into the meat of it quicker. I wish I could look at the retention data on this episode on the back end to see where people were dropping. I would almost bet that you're having like a 57% drop right after the 15-second mark. I would love to see the analytics and see how we're doing on that. So this type of video is exactly the type of video that I feel your channel could be banking on. We just need to do like 20 of those and make sure that you're tweaking the formula of the exact timing of the structure so you're able to replicate it, and then you could sit down and do like 4 or 5 different videos, just like what we were doing right here. You know the structure and you know exactly when to hit what point. I think that would increase the watch time on these videos and also make it more efficient for your time. So looking at the content strategy that you're deploying on the channel right now, you're doing a good mix, in my opinion, of the breakdown of other businesses mixed with you helping new brands. I think that's super interesting. And then I see that you have a podcast too. I don't see the podcast as an established podcast on the channel. So I would assume that you just did this interview with Dan, and it was, I don't know exactly how that came about, but I think you have an ability to talk to entrepreneurs that many other people are not going to have. So you're just leaving so much money on the table by not having a podcast with entrepreneurs. Now, when we look at this episode specifically, I don't love the way you have the text. It's a little bit hard to read, and it also doesn't match the branding that you have on some of your other videos. So I would refine that a little bit. It just looks that whoever did your thumbnail was copy paste that of the CEO with the black and the text with the highlight. So I think that you could improve a lot and find a way to make it easier to read and use Dan's face in a bigger size so you can get a higher click-through rate on that. Now let's analyze the episode itself to see what we could do better.
The number one way to make money right now as an 18, 20, 25, I don't care how old you are, is becoming, there is so much demand. People.
So that was really good. That hook was amazing. I think here we need to change the framing. So Dan is center frame and you're trying to do some text here. This text is coming in a very like lazy way. Like it's not good enough.
There is so much demand.
See, like it looks like someone who's learned how to edit did that. We need to make that text a little bit more punchy and also reframe Dan.
We'll pay you top dollar.
Dan Martel is a renowned Canadian serial entrepreneur.
Now that voice, we need your voice, man. Like we need to have you, Simon, reading that and saying it with your energy because we're your audience, so we want to hear you talk about Dan.
And business coach.
Who has founded and successfully exited 3 technology companies. Author of the Wall Street Journal best-selling book, Buy Back Your Time.
I've been publishing on YouTube for 9 years. Every week. I've never.
Now, I love the beat, but do you have the licensing to that music? If you don't, if you're using,
we're at 70,000.
dude, like Drake doesn't play around. He's not gonna let you monetize that. So
Now we're almost at 1 million in 18 months. It was really that decision to say,
I love the length. You kept it at 30 seconds. I would go even lower and keep it at 20 seconds. What we have seen looking at data from like hundreds of episodes is that the first 30 seconds, you want to give people as much as possible so they don't drop. And also something that happens, I have done some episodes where I do like a minute and a half, and I would edit it for weeks and make it look like a movie trailer. And then when we looked at the retention data, people were just skipping the intro. Like they don't care about the intro that much. For example, with Dan, we already know who Dan is. He's a well-known person, and we just want to get straight into the gold nuggets of information right away. Now, when we get to the actual interview, the one thing that when I was watching this, I was really sad is the framing they did on your shot. So here, like let's pause it. When you analyze this frame, you are put up against the edge, and it's not a good look for you. Like in composition, when you do a frame like that, you're saying that that person is short-sighted. Like you're not framing them in the most flattering way, and you have all of this dead space on the left. We also have the book really prominent. We don't need to have that there. We need to have you, because if I'm gonna use this, for example, and repurpose it as a short, you have that big blue box of the book covering you, and it's just not good enough for the quality of interview that you could be doing, because you already have everything, the set, everything is amazing, and it's just a matter of like framing the camera a little bit different or reframing. This looks like it might have been reframed later in post, but we gotta be careful about that and make sure that you're looking great all the time. Another thing that I would get into with this type of content, podcast is my jam. That's what I've been producing for the last 3 years. And I know, looking at the data, that the longer the podcast, the more chances you have of getting revenue from that one episode. And why? Because YouTube is placing ads. If you do it manually and you place them every 5 minutes, if you have 30-minute interview, you can only place 5 or 6 ads. If you run the interview for an hour and a half, you could place the ads every 5 minutes and you could triple the revenue potential of that one episode. And the funny thing is that even if you do the placement every 5 minutes, it doesn't mean that YouTube is going to show an ad every 5 minutes. So you don't have to be worried about people thinking that you have way too many ads. There's a strategy that when you're using that ad placement, YouTube is going to see how many ads has that person seen in the last 2 hours or so, and they're going to decide when is the proper moment to serve them an ad. You're just doing your placement manually, so you can guarantee that you're placing it in moments that flow well with the content, so you don't get ads in the middle of a fire sentence, and you naturally follow the placement of the ads when the questions are about to wrap. Now let's get really specific with titles and thumbnails. Everybody knows that the packaging of the videos is what gives them the higher chance of getting more views. So here on your channel, the one thing I don't love is that your face is always being treated with like a heavy AI effect. I know that that feels trendy and it's like the cool kids are doing that, but I promise you, by looking at the data on hundreds and hundreds of videos, I've seen how a super AI treated picture doesn't really make a difference. You don't need to always have extremely contrasty and poppy colors. Instead of what everyone is saying on YouTube, it's more about the emotion that you create with the picture and the combination of the text and the title. You're always trying to create contrast in concepts, not just on the visual elements, but in the concept that you're representing. How can you create curiosity by at the same time giving me a sense that I will get the answer to a question in the title and thumbnail combination? And also like personal experiences and things that you never thought this was the answer to a problem. That type of thinking on the title and thumbnails is going to make sure that you not only get higher CTR, but also you're not creating a brand that is clickbaity and that people don't see your face and feel like, oh, another scammer or another guy trying to sell me a course. Even if you're not trying to do it, I think sometimes when we go too crazy with the thumbnails, we're hurting the reputation and the branding of the person itself, and that's more valuable than getting a few more clicks from someone that might be young and it might be a cool person to click on your video, but it's not really building you to be the entrepreneur that you really are. Now, another issue I'd see with your titles and thumbnails, as you go down to the channel, some of the older thumbnails have a different treatment. And what happens is when a person sees a video of yours, in their next session on YouTube, YouTube will serve them a video of your channel, even if it was 2 years older. So don't only update your new thumbnails, you have to make sure that whatever branding you do for your thumbnails, you're going back on your catalog and re-updating those. Now, YouTube has new ways that you can do A/B testing with multiple thumbnails, and that's something that you need to keep working on the back end. Here, it looks like some of these older videos, you just kind of gave up on them, maybe because they didn't get as many views as you wanted. But for example, this video that says people buy emotions, I think that's an amazing copy for that thumbnail. It's just the picture doesn't look great, so we could update it. For example, when you compare that to your Nike thumbnail, this thumbnail is way better. So we need to be doing that for all the videos. Now, when you click on that video, people buy emotions.
I'd still be the best salesman at Carrara Markets if I didn't learn this skill. So I started at the markets first weekend out of school. Right? And I brought these consumer electronics.
Same thing with the editing. Like, don't try to make the edit so like choppy to stay relevant. That makes you look desperate, that you're trying too hard to make the video interesting. In your niche and like the type of content that you're making, the person watching this is someone looking to scale their company, right? That means that that person has had a company for maybe 5 years. So let's say if they started at 25, they're probably 30. So I think you're editing almost for like a 19-year-old that has ADHD, but your real audience is entrepreneurs in their mid-30s. So we don't have to try too hard to appeal to a younger audience, because the value of your content is in the information that you have to help people actually scale businesses. And it's okay if it takes a little bit longer. You don't have to chop and like cut. You can just sit there and speak your truth and the knowledge that you have. And I think that's going to be way more effective with the right audience that you're trying to build. So to sum it up, Simon's channel is going to blow up. Trust me, I'm telling you. Even if he keeps doing the things that he's doing right now, his channel is going to blow up, because the videos that I've seen from him, he actually has the goods and he has the business inside. Now, if we can tweak the brand a little bit, if we can optimize the content strategy to make the type of videos that he actually wants to build, if he optimizes the title and thumbnail to match his branding and just be a bit cleaner and aim to a bit older audience, I think this channel is set up to do really well. I'm super excited to see what he does in the future. And I hope you guys can use some of these insights to apply it to your own channel. If you have any questions, please hit me up. I'm always active on social media, and I'd love to see you take all of this and improve your channel so you can make it amazing.